Hello friends, we'll be discussing another illustration which is related to the financial statements of not-for-profit organization. Now, this will be completely related to the subscription details. So, let's start with it. Now, when we understand about the subscription details, we have learned about subscription that the previous year has to be considered out, the next year advance has to be considered out, and only the considered in refers to the current year subscription that we have to deal with. Now, we have a specific illustration right on that basis itself. Let's start with it and understand how it is supposed to be done. They have mentioned that from the following information, we have to prepare the income and expenditure account as of 31st of March 2013. That means that will be the current year. So 12-13 will be the current year. And we have to ascertain the capital fund as of 31st of March 2012. That means 11-12 is the previous year. Current year will be 12-13 and the next year will be 13-14. So all these details have been mentioned. Now let's figure out what all details or rather what all details do we have in this specific illustration. So right now we are preparing the receipts and payments account as per the question given here. So the first item that refers here is the balance brought forward. That means the opening balance 39,100 has been mentioned. So the total subscription that we have received here is 56,400, out of which refers to 2011-12 is 2,400. 12-13 is 53,000 and 13-14 is 1,000. So if we have to give it taggings, 11-12 will be related to previous year. 12-13 will relate to the current year. And 13-14 will relate to the next year. So previous, current, advance. We have mentioned all these details. Now, the next item that has been mentioned in the question is sale of old newspaper 2,500. Next item is government grants amounting to 20,000. Now, it is up to us whether we take this as a capital or revenue item. It can be a capital item also, or it can be a revenue item also. Now, the next item has been mentioned as sale of old furniture. That means old furniture has been sold out for 11,400. The book value was 8,000 rupees. So worth 8,000, it has been sold to 11,400. That means there is a profit here. So that will be taken care, or rather that will be a part of income and expenditure statement. Interest on fixed deposit has been mentioned here as 900 rupees. Now with this we complete the receipts part. Let's move on to the payments part here. Salary worth rupees 6,000 has been paid off. Newspaper expenses, that means procurement or purchase of newspaper, amounted to 4,100. Electricity bill amounted to 2,000 rupees. Fixed deposited or fixed deposits amounts to 40,000. 1st of July 2012 at the rate of 9% per annum. So that is the rate of interest here as we have been mentioned here. Books amounts to 21,200 again. Now this is again a part of balance sheet items and never will be a part of income and expenditure here. Rent amounts to 13,600, again a part of expenditure. Now furniture has been procured for worth rupees 21,000. Closing bank balance has been mentioned as 22,400. Now let's figure out the tally of both receipts, or rather the receipts and payment side tally. So the receipts and payments come to a tally of 1,30,300. Now we'll be going ahead with the adjustments here. So outstanding subscription as of 31st of March 2012 was 4,000 and as of 31st of March 2013 was 5,000. Now as of 31st of March 2013, outstanding salary was 1,200 and outstanding rent was 2,400. Now let's go on to the next part. The club owned furniture worth rupees 30,000 and books worth rupees 14,000 as of 1st of April 2012. That means opening balance of furniture and books was 30,000 and 12,000 respectively mentioned here. So on these details we have to prepare certain income and expenditure account and balance sheet as well. So let's start with the illustration. Let's start with the working note first. So when it comes to the working note, we'll start with the subscription account first of all. So we have prepared the subscription account. We'll take the balance first as it is an income for us, hence it will have credit balance. So the first thing that we'll be mentioning is how much subscription we have already received. That means 56,400 is the amount that we had received for the total subscription. out of which now we'll be using the details that has been given in the adjustments. So if you mention on 1st of April 2012, outstanding subscription was given as 4,000, and as of 31st March 2013, outstanding subscription was given as 5,000. We'll record that here. So the previous year's subscription is asset here because we have already received it, so it will be mentioned on the debit side. And the current year subscription, that means 31st March 2013, outstanding subscription 5,000, will be mentioned on the credit side here. Now out of that, if you remember, in that receipts and expenditure, we have already mentioned certain amount as income received in advance or subscription received in advance amounting to 1,000. Now that will be again a liability, hence it will have, or rather it will be mentioned on the debit side here. So now we'll figure out the balancing figure, which is supposed to be transferred to income and expenditure account. So the balancing figure is 56,400, which is supposed to be moved to the credit side of income and expenditure account. Total of the subscription account comes to 61,400. Now again, there was one more thing that was mentioned in the receipts and payments account, government grants. As in the whole sum, we didn't figure out any specific fund related to that specific income. Hence, we'll consider government grants as a specific revenue nature itself, and hence it will be moved into income and expenditure account. I'm writing a note related to it. So with this, we'll start with the income and expenditure account preparation. So we'll first start with the subscription amount being credited here, 56,400. Now apart from that, when we go on to the receipt side, we'll now figure out that government grants will be directly transferred here. Sale of old newspaper, as it has no relation to the adjustments, will be directly transferred here. After that, there was furniture which was sold out for 11,400, book value being 8,000. That means the profit on sale of furniture was 3,400. That profit will be transferred here. Now the next thing is interest on fixed deposit, 900 we already have. Out of that, now again we have to add certain accrued interest. If you remember, on the payment side we have purchased a fixed deposit of 40,000. 9% interest is supposed to be provided on that from 1st of July 2012. So from July, August, September, October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March, 9 months interest has to be provided on that 40,000 for 9%. Let's figure out how much that is. So the total amount comes to 2,700. Out of that, 900 has been already provided. If you can see, that is mentioned here. So the balance, that is 2,700 minus 900, will give you 1,800. So that is the accrued interest. So the total has been mentioned here as 2,700 as interest on fixed deposits. So now we'll come on to the expenditure side. First expenses that will be mentioned here is salary. So the total salary that was paid was 6,000 plus additional outstanding as of 31st of March 2013 was, that means current outstanding was 1,200. That will be added here. That brings you a total of 7,200. Now the next item, electricity bill, will be mentioned here. Now the last item of this income and expenditure will be the rent, because apart from that, furniture, books, library or closing value of bank balance is already a part of balance sheet that we are not supposed to be preparing for the current year 2013. So the last item that will be mentioning here is the rent plus additional outstanding rent will be added there. So the total of rent comes to 16,000. Now we have to figure out what is the surplus or what is the deficit here. Let's figure out the interim notice or interim balance first of all. So as you can clearly see, there is a surplus because the credit balance is 85,000, whereas the debit balance is 29,300. So let's figure out how much is the surplus here. So the surplus is 55,700 and the balance of income and expenditure is 85,000 here. Now after this, we're going to figure out the capital fund as of 31st of March 2012. 31st of March 2012. That means opening balance sheet has to be prepared here. Now that you have to prepare the opening balance sheet, the opening balance sheet bank balance has been already mentioned. If you can see the receipts and payment, the first thing on the receipt was by balance carried forward 39,100. That is opening bank balance. That will be the closing bank balance of previous year's balance sheet. That is this balance sheet. So this will be mentioned here by opening balance sheet. So bank balance has been mentioned here. Now again in the adjustments, the outstanding as of 31st of March 2012 was mentioned there. That means that was the opening outstanding. So that is an asset for us. So that will be mentioned on the current asset side, or rather on the asset side, subscription due. Now, the last adjustment that was given to you, which referred that the club owned 30,000 as furniture and books as 14,000 as of 1st of April 2012. That means that would have been the closing balance, or rather the opening balance sheet item, correct? So that will be mentioned here. So with this, we have mentioned all the items that are related to the opening balance sheet. That means 31st of March 2012. That will be the opening balance sheet, and that has been mentioned, or rather previous year's balance sheet has been mentioned here. Nothing else is supposed to be mentioned in this balance sheet. So whatever tally amount we get, that will be the capital figure, or rather capital fund. So the capital fund has been figured out as 87,100, and that is how it is supposed to be done. And this marks the closure of this specific illustration. So this is how the subscription is supposed to be dealt, and the opening balance sheet is supposed to be prepared whenever you have to go with any kind of such problem. So I hope this illustration gave you a lot of clarity about how to go ahead with the income and expenditure account with preparations of these styles. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with Ekeeda and keep subscribing to Ekeeda.